You don't fail because the world is unfair. You don't stall because opportunities are missing. You fall behind because you wait to be led. Before you lead a business, a family, or a movement, you must lead yourself. No motivation is coming. No permission is required. No one is responsible for your direction but you. This audiobook will teach you one brutal truth. If you cannot command your own mind, your habits, and your standards, life will command them for you. Lead yourself first, or be led by weakness, fear, and delay.
Let's start with the truth most people spend their entire lives running from. No one is coming to save you. Not your parents, not your friends, not your boss, not the economy, not motivation, not confidence. You are waiting for clarity. You are waiting for support. You are waiting to feel ready. And that moment is not coming. That's the key. The delay you call preparation is actually avoidance. The confusion you call thinking is actually fear. And the hope that someone will step in and lift the weight off your shoulders is the reason the weight keeps getting heavier. You have a choice. You can keep waiting or you can decide. Self-leadership begins when excuses end. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they keep looking outside themselves for permission to begin. They want approval before action. They want certainty before movement. They want confidence before commitment. But that's not how leadership works. Leadership does not show up before action. Leadership is born through action. You don't need their permission. Let that land. You don't need someone to believe in you. You don't need conditions to be perfect. You don't need clarity to start. Clarity comes after movement. Confidence comes after discipline. Support comes after proof. That's the key. Look at every person you admire, every leader, builder, or survivor. None of them were rescued. They decided. They accepted something most people refuse to accept. Everything in my life is my responsibility. Not some things, not the convenient things, everything. Your results, your habits, your mindset, your standards. You have a choice. You can blame your past or you can lead your future. You can point at circumstances or you can command your behavior. It's not about luck. It's not about intelligence. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Say it again. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. Motivation disappears when things get uncomfortable. Discipline shows up anyway. And leadership begins the moment you stop asking, "Who's going to help me?" and start saying, "I'll handle it." Self-leadership begins when excuses end. Let's talk about excuses. Excuses sound logical. They sound reasonable. They even sound responsible. I just need more time. I need to learn more first. I'm not in the right environment. I'm waiting for the right opportunity. No, you're waiting to feel safe. And leadership is not safe. Leaders move before certainty. Leaders act without guarantees. Leaders step forward while doubt is still loud. That's the difference. You have a choice. You can keep outsourcing responsibility or you can take ownership. And ownership is heavy. It's uncomfortable. It removes your ability to complain. That's why most people avoid it. Because the moment you accept full responsibility, you lose the right to blame. No more pointing at your past. No more pointing at other people. No more pointing at circumstances. Just action. That's the key. Here's what self-leadership looks like in real life. You wake up tired and you move anyway. You feel unsure and you decide anyway. You don't feel confident and you act anyway. Because confidence is not the requirement. Action is. You don't need their permission. You don't need validation. You don't need reassurance. You don't need someone to tell you it will work out. Leaders don't wait for certainty. They create momentum. And momentum creates belief. Most people reverse that order and wonder why nothing changes. They say, when I feel confident, I'll act. When I feel ready, I'll start. When someone supports me, I'll move. That day never comes. That's the key. If you want a different life, you must lead yourself on the days you don't feel like it, especially those days. Self-leadership begins when excuses end. Now let's get practical. From this moment forward, stop asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, what am I going to do about it? That single shift changes everything. Because leaders don't control outcomes, they control responses. You can't control the economy. You can't control other people. You can't control the past. But you can control your standards. You can control your habits. You can control how you show up today. You have a choice every single day. And here's the uncomfortable part. If your life hasn't changed, it's because you haven't changed. Not because you're incapable, not because you're unlucky, but because you keep waiting. Waiting is a decision, and it's costing you. It's costing you time. It's costing you self-respect. It's costing you momentum. That's the key. Leadership is not a title, it's behavior. It's doing what needs to be done without applause. It's choosing responsibility without guarantees. It's acting when quitting would be easier. You don't need their permission. You need standards. Standards for how you think. Standards for how you act. Standards for what you tolerate from yourself. And this is where it starts. Today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when things calm down. Now. Because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to trust yourself. And self-trust is the foundation of leadership. Self-leadership begins when excuses end. Let me leave you with this. If no one ever shows up to help you, if no one ever understands you, if no one ever supports you, would you still move? That's leadership. And the moment you answer yes to that question, your life starts to change. You stopped waiting. You stopped hoping. You stopped outsourcing responsibility. You chose to lead yourself. You mastered the truth that no one is coming to save you. Now let's talk about the one skill that separates leaders from followers at every level of life.
Leadership does not begin when people follow you. It begins when you follow your own rules. Before you influence others, you must control yourself, your actions, your habits, your routines, every single day. That's the key. Most people want authority without structure. They want respect without consistency. They want results without discipline. It doesn't work that way. You don't rise to motivation. You fall to discipline. Read that again. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. Motivation shows up when conditions feel good. Discipline shows up when conditions don't matter. And leadership is built on days when no one is watching and nothing feels exciting. You have a choice. You can live reactively, doing what feels right in the moment. Or you can live deliberately, doing what needs to be done regardless of mood. That choice defines everything. Most people think discipline is restrictive. They think it limits freedom. The truth is the opposite. Discipline creates freedom. Indiscipline creates chaos. Look at the people who rely on talent alone. They start fast, they impress early, and then they fade. Because talent without discipline is unreliable. Talent shows up when it wants to. Discipline shows up on schedule. That's the key. Every high performer you admire has a boring secret, a routine. Not inspiration, not excitement, structure. They wake up at the same time. They train even when tired. They work when others scroll. They repeat what works instead of chasing what's new. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. Say it with me. It's not about intensity, it's about discipline. You don't need their permission. You don't need someone to hype you up. You don't need perfect conditions. You need rules you follow even when you don't feel like it. Because feelings are unreliable leaders. Feelings say rest. Discipline says finish. Feelings say tomorrow. Discipline says now. That's leadership. Let's make this real. If you can't control your sleep, you can't control your energy. If you can't control your schedule, you can't control your progress. If you can't control your habits, you can't control your outcomes. Leadership starts small, very small. It starts with waking up when you said you would. It starts with doing the work you promised yourself you'd do. It starts with keeping agreements with yourself. Because every broken promise weakens your authority, and every kept promise strengthens it. That's the key. Most people try to lead others while constantly disappointing themselves. They say one thing, they do another, and then they wonder why they lack confidence. Confidence isn't a personality trait, it's a record of kept commitments. You have a choice. You can keep negotiating with yourself, or you can decide once and execute. Negotiation is where discipline dies. I'll do it later. I'll skip today. I deserve a break. Discipline says, do it anyway. Not because it's fun, not because it's easy, but because you said you would. You don't rise to motivation, you fall to discipline. Look at the disciplined person with average talent. They will outwork, outlast, outperform. Every time. Because discipline compounds. One early morning turns into a habit. One workout turns into stamina. One focused hour turns into mastery. And suddenly people call it luck. That's the key. Discipline is invisible at first and unstoppable later. Here's the instruction. Stop trying to overhaul your life. Start by locking down your non-negotiables. Choose 3. Wake-up time, daily work block, physical movement. No debate, no emotion, no exception. You don't ask how you feel, you ask what's required. That's leadership. And when you miss a day, and you will, you don't spiral, you reset immediately. Discipline is not perfection, it's recovery speed. Leaders don't avoid failure, they refuse to stay down. That's the key. Let me say this clearly. If your life feels chaotic, it's not because you need more motivation, it's because you need more structure. It's not about passion, it's not about inspiration, it's about discipline. And discipline is a skill, which means it can be trained, daily, deliberately, relentlessly. You don't need their permission. You don't need applause. You don't need recognition. You need self-command. Because if you can't lead yourself through discomfort, you will never lead others through challenge. Leadership is not what you say, it's what you repeat. And repetition builds identity. You are not disciplined once, you become disciplined. And that identity changes how you move through the world. You speak differently. You decide faster. You tolerate less nonsense from others and from yourself. That's the key. Discipline is the first form of leadership because it proves something. It proves that you can be trusted by yourself and eventually by others. So stop waiting to feel motivated. Stop chasing emotional highs. Stop confusing excitement with progress. Decide your standards, lock in your routines, and execute regardless of mood. You have a choice, every morning, every moment. And the moment you choose discipline, you step into leadership. You controlled your actions, you built consistency, you earned self-respect. Now let's talk about the battlefield where discipline is tested first and lost most often.
Your mind is talking to you all day long. Most people never notice. They assume every thought is true. They assume every emotion deserves obedience. They assume hesitation means danger. That's the trap. Untrained thoughts create hesitation. Hesitation creates delay. Delay creates regret. That's the key. If you do not lead your mind will lead you straight into fear, inconsistency, and excuses. You have a choice. You can obey every thought that appears, or you can observe it and decide. Leaders don't silence their thoughts. They don't fight them. They don't argue with them. They notice them, and then they choose. Thoughts are suggestions, not commands. Say it again. Thoughts are suggestions, not commands. Most people live as if their thoughts are orders. I don't feel ready. I might fail. This could go wrong. People will judge me. And they stop. That's not wisdom. That's obedience. Leadership begins when you separate awareness from action. You can notice fear without following it. You can notice doubt without obeying it. You can notice resistance without negotiating with it. That's the key. Your mind's job is not to make you successful. Its job is to keep you safe. And safety and growth are rarely in the same direction. Your mind prefers the familiar. It prefers comfort. It prefers patterns, even broken ones. So when you decide to change, your mind pushes back. It creates stories. It creates reasons. It creates delays. Not because you're weak, but because your mind is untrained. You have a choice. You can let your thoughts run the show, or you can put them in their place. And their place is advisory, not executive. It's not about intelligence. It's not about positivity. It's about discipline. It's not about controlling thoughts. It's about controlling responses. That's leadership. Let's get practical. The moment you feel hesitation, pause. Don't react. Don't explain. Don't justify. Just label the thought. This is fear. This is doubt. This is resistance. Labeling creates distance. Distance creates choice. That's the key. Most people feel a thought and immediately act on it. Leaders insert a pause. In that pause, power is built. Because in that pause, you remember something critical. You don't need their permission. Not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your past experiences. You decide. Here's a rule leaders live by. No important decision is made based on emotion alone. Emotions inform. They do not command. Thoughts are suggestions, not commands. The moment you stop arguing with your thoughts, they lose their grip. You don't need to defeat fear. You need to move with it present. Fear does not disappear when you wait. It disappears when you act. That's the key. Untrained minds say, once I feel confident, I'll move. Trained minds say, I'll move and confidence will follow. You have a choice. Every time your mind says, not now, you either obey or you lead. Leadership is choosing action despite internal noise. And there will always be noise. Your mind will question you when you rest. It will attack you when you commit. It will doubt you when you grow. That's normal. What's not normal is letting it decide your behavior. It's not about fear. It's not about doubt. It's about discipline. Discipline of attention. Discipline of response. Discipline of execution. Let me give you a simple instruction. Stop asking, how do I feel about this? Start asking, what does this require? That single question cuts through mental chaos. Because leadership is not emotional alignment, it's behavioral alignment. You act in alignment with your standards, not your mood. That's the key. Another rule. Never make long-term decisions in short-term emotional states. Anger fades, fear passes, discomfort moves on, but decisions remain. Leaders slow down their thinking, but speed up their action. They don't overthink, they don't spiral, they decide, then adjust. You don't need their permission. Not from your mind, not from your past, not from your inner critic. That voice in your head is not wisdom, it's conditioning. And conditioning can be rewritten. How? Through repetition. You lead your mind the same way you lead anything else, by consistent action. Every time you act despite doubt, you weaken the saboteur. Every time you pause, observe, and choose, you strengthen the leader. That's the key. Let me be clear. Your mind will never fully stop resisting growth. That's not the goal. The goal is to stop listening. You don't need mental peace to move forward. You need mental authority. Authority comes from proof. Proof that you act even when your mind protests. Proof that you decide even when certainty is missing. You have a choice. You can wait until your thoughts approve, or you can lead without approval. Leaders do not seek permission from their minds. They act first, they reflect later. That's discipline. Thoughts are suggestions, not commands. Live by that rule and your entire life changes. You stop overthinking, you stop hesitating, you stop being controlled by invisible conversations in your head. And when your mind stops sabotaging you, your actions become consistent. Consistency builds trust. Trust builds leadership. You've learned to notice thoughts without obeying them. You've trained awareness. You've claimed authority. Now there's one more battlefield where leaders either win control or lose it completely. Your emotions.
Every moment you react emotionally, you hand your power away. To people, to circumstances, to chaos. That's the key. Reactivity is not honesty. It's not passion. It's not strength. Reactivity is loss of control. And leaders do not surrender control. If emotions lead, results suffer. Say it again. If emotions lead, results suffer. Most people believe emotions are meant to be expressed immediately. They think holding back is weakness. The truth is the opposite. Uncontrolled emotion is weakness. Controlled emotion is power. You have a choice. You can react or you can respond. Reaction is automatic. Response is intentional. Reaction feels good in the moment. Response produces results over time. That's the key. Look at chaotic environments, high pressure, conflict, uncertainty. Who dominates? Not the loudest, not the most emotional, not the most reactive. The calm one. The one who slows down when others speed up. The one who pauses when others panic. The one who thinks when others feel. Calm is not passive. Calm is calculated, and it is trained. You don't need their permission. Not from your anger, not from your frustration, not from your excitement. Emotions are signals, not commands. It's not about suppressing emotion, it's about directing it. It's not about feeling nothing, it's about choosing what you do with what you feel. That's leadership. Let's talk about reactivity. Reactivity is when someone says something and you snap back. When something goes wrong and you spiral. When stress shows up and discipline disappears. That's not personality, that's lack of training. And training is available to anyone willing to practice. You have a choice. The moment emotion rises, you either follow it or you lead it. And leadership requires a pause. A pause before the text. A pause before the reply. A pause before the decision. That pause is where power lives. That's the key. Here's a rule. Never make decisions at emotional peaks. Not when you're angry, not when you're afraid, not when you're euphoric. Emotion narrows vision. Calm expands it. Leaders widen perspective. Reactors narrow it. If emotions lead, results suffer. So what do leaders do differently? They create space between feeling and action. They breathe, they step back, they lower the volume internally, because emotional volume distorts judgment. It's not about emotion, it's about discipline. Discipline of restraint, discipline of timing, discipline of response. Let me give you a practical tool. When emotion spikes, do nothing for 90 seconds. No message, no decision, no explanation. Just breathe. Emotions peak and fall quickly if you don't feed them. That pause interrupts the reaction loop. That's the key. Most damage is done in moments of emotional urgency. Words you can't take back, decisions you regret, actions that create unnecessary conflict. Leaders reduce damage by slowing down. You don't need their permission. You don't need to defend yourself immediately. You don't need to prove your point instantly. You don't need to react to be respected. Respect follows control. Another truth: people who can't control their emotions are easy to control. Buttons get pushed, triggers get pulled, behavior becomes predictable. That's dangerous. Leadership requires unpredictability rooted in calm. Not outbursts, not mood swings, consistency. If others can read your emotions, they can lead you. That's the key. Emotional control is not about becoming cold, it's about becoming deliberate. You still feel, you still care, but you choose when and how to express. That's strength. You have a choice. Next time you feel anger rise, ask, what outcome do I want? Not, what do I feel like doing? Leaders act toward outcomes, not impulses. It's not about anger. It's not about frustration, it's about discipline. Discipline to hold your tongue, discipline to delay response, discipline to act with clarity. Calm decision-makers dominate chaotic environments because chaos feeds on reaction. When you don't react, chaos loses leverage. Silence creates uncertainty for everyone else. That's power. That's the key. Here's another rule. Never explain yourself while emotional. Explanation given in emotion sounds like justification. Leaders explain from calm or not at all. You don't need their permission. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You need to be effective. Effectiveness beats expression every time. Let me bring this home. If your emotions control your schedule, your words, your habits, then you are not leading yourself. You are being led. And leadership starts inside. Self-leadership requires emotional mastery. Not elimination, mastery. You feel the emotion. You pause. You choose. That sequence changes everything. You become harder to manipulate, harder to shake, harder to derail, and easier to trust. Because people trust those who are stable. That's the key. If emotions lead, results suffer. But when discipline leads, emotions fall in line. You've learned to lead your actions. You've learned to lead your thoughts. Now you've learned to lead your emotions. And there is one more internal lever that determines whether your life expands or contracts. The standards you accept.
Your future is not shaped by your goals. It is shaped by your standards. Read that again. You don't get what you want. You get what you tolerate. That's the key. Most people talk about dreams. Very few talk about standards, and that's why most people stay exactly where they are. Because standards, not desires, determine behavior. Leaders understand this early. They don't rely on hope. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on non-negotiables. You have a choice. You can keep wishing for more. or you can demand more from yourself. Raise standards or lower outcomes. Say it again. Raise standards or lower outcomes. Every area of your life is a reflection of the standards you accept. Your health, your income, your relationships, your discipline. Nothing is random. If something is tolerated, it is trained. That's the key. Look at where you are making excuses. Sleeping in when you said you wouldn't. Skipping the work when no one is watching. Accepting average because pushing feels uncomfortable. That is not circumstance. That is standard. Leaders don't argue with reality. They raise the bar. And raising standards is uncomfortable because it removes your ability to lie to yourself. You don't need their permission. Not from your past, not from your environment, not from people who benefit from you staying the same. Standards are internal. No one needs to know them. No one needs to approve them. They just need to be enforced. That's leadership. Let's get clear. A standard is not a preference. A standard is a rule. Preferences change with mood. Standards hold regardless of mood. I prefer to work out means nothing. I don't skip workouts changes behavior. That's the key. Most people live with soft standards. I try. I'll do my best. Leaders use different language. I don't miss. I don't tolerate. I don't negotiate. It's not about willpower. It's about discipline. It's not about intensity. It's about standards. Here's the hard truth. Every time you violate your own standard, you weaken your self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of leadership. People who don't respect themselves can't command respect from others. You have a choice. You can keep lowering standards to match your comfort, or you can raise standards and force growth. Growth always follows the standard, never the desire. That's the key. Let's talk about tolerance. What you tolerate becomes normal. What becomes normal becomes permanent. Tolerating laziness trains laziness. Tolerating chaos trains chaos. Tolerating excuses trains weakness. Leaders eliminate tolerance for behaviors that sabotage them. Not emotionally, not dramatically, quietly, firmly, consistently. You don't need their permission. You don't need to announce your standards. You enforce them through action. Here's a practical exercise. Write down 3 things you will no longer tolerate from yourself. Just 3. Excuses, missed deadlines, undisciplined mornings. Whatever it is, define it clearly. Then attach a consequence. Standards without consequences are wishes. That's the key. Leaders don't rely on motivation to uphold standards. They rely on structure. If the standard is waking up early, the structure is an alarm and no snooze. If the standard is focused work, the structure is a closed door and a phone off. Remove choice where choice causes failure. That's discipline. It's not about perfection, it's about enforcement. You will slip, you will fail. What matters is how quickly you correct. Leaders correct immediately. They don't explain, they don't justify, they adjust and move on. Raise standards or lower outcomes. Every time you choose comfort over standards, you pay later. With regret, with stagnation, with self-doubt. And every time you choose standards over comfort, you gain momentum. That's the key. Here's something most people don't realize. Your environment rises or falls to meet your standards. When your standards are low, chaos surrounds you. When your standards are high, order follows. People adjust, opportunities adjust, life adjusts, but it starts with you. You don't need their permission. You don't need approval to expect more from yourself. Leadership begins when you refuse to live below your potential. Not by motivation, by standard. Say it clearly. I don't tolerate this anymore. And then act like it. Not once, not twice, every time. That's discipline. Standards decide how you show up when no one is watching, and that is the truest test of leadership. You've learned to lead your actions. You've learned to lead your thoughts. You've learned to lead your emotions. Now you've learned to set standards. But standards alone aren't enough. You must enforce them daily, starting with the first hour of your day.
The first hour of your day decides the rest of it. Not motivation, not luck, not intention. The first hour. That's the key. If you lose the morning, you spend the rest of the day reacting. If you win the morning, the day follows your lead. Win early or chase the day forever. Say it again. Win early or chase the day forever. Most people don't have bad days. They have unled mornings. They wake up late, they grab their phone, they absorb chaos before they create direction, and then they wonder why they feel behind all day. You have a choice. You can start the day intentionally, or you can let the world start it for you. Leadership begins before the noise, before messages, before demands, before distractions. That's the key. Leaders don't wake up and check their life. They wake up and command it. They don't ask, what's happening today? They decide, this is what I'm doing today. It's not about being a morning person. It's not about energy. It's about discipline. It's not about preference. It's about structure. The morning is neutral territory. No one has taken from you yet. No one has distracted you yet. No one has drained you yet. And how you use that window determines everything. Win early or chase the day forever. Let's talk about what losing the morning looks like. Hitting snooze, scrolling, rushing, reacting. You start the day behind, so you stay behind. That pattern compounds. Days turn into weeks, weeks into years. That's the key. Now look at disciplined leaders. They wake up before urgency. They move their body. They focus their mind. They handle the hardest task early. Not because they feel like it, because they decided to. You don't need their permission. You don't need motivation to wake up on time. You need a standard. And standards don't negotiate. The alarm goes off, you stand up. No debate, no emotion, no story. That single decision trains leadership. You prove to yourself first thing that you are in charge. It's not about waking up early. It's about waking up intentionally. That's discipline. Let me give you a real-world example. Two people, same job, same responsibilities. One wakes up late, rushes, reacts, and spends the day stressed. The other wakes up early, trains, plans, and moves calmly. Same circumstances, different mornings, different lives. That's the key. Morning dominance creates psychological advantage. You start the day with wins, movement, focus, completion. And wins create momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Not emotional confidence, earned confidence. You have a choice. You can earn confidence daily, or you can wait for it and never get it. Win early or chase the day forever. Here's the structure. Simple, non-negotiable. First, wake up at a fixed time. Same time, every day. Your body adapts. Your mind sharpens. Second, move your body, even 10 minutes. Movement clears mental fog and signals authority. Third, control input. No phone, no news, no noise. Silence first, direction second. Fourth, do one hard thing. The task you're avoiding, the task that matters. Finish it early. That's leadership. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing the right thing before distraction shows up. That's the key. Most people do easy things early and hard things late. Leaders reverse it. Hard first, easy later. Because discipline is strongest when the mind is fresh. You don't need their permission. You don't need to explain why you wake up early. You don't need approval for protecting your mornings. This is your life. guard it. If you don't protect your morning, someone else will use it. That's not philosophy, that's reality. Emails, requests, noise, they all want access to your best energy. Leadership means deciding who gets it. You have a choice: give it away or invest it. Win early or chase the day forever. Let me say this clearly. If your mornings are chaotic, your life will be chaotic. Not because you're incapable, but because you're unstructured. Structure creates calm. Calm creates clarity. Clarity creates power. That's the key. This isn't about becoming rigid. It's about becoming reliable. Reliable to yourself. When you keep your morning commitments, you build self-trust, and self-trust changes how you move through the world. You speak differently. You decide faster. You tolerate less, because you know you can count on yourself. Leadership starts there. One more instruction. Prepare your morning the night before. Clothes ready, tasks written, decisions made. Leaders remove friction in advance. Friction kills discipline. That's the key. You don't rise to motivation, you fall to discipline. And discipline is built before the day begins. You've learned to set standards. Now you've learned to enforce them early. You are no longer reacting, you are leading. And now that you control the beginning of your day, it's time to confront the habit that destroys discipline faster than anything else: negotiating with weakness.
Every time you debate yourself, you lose power. Not some power, authority. That's the key. Internal negotiation feels intelligent. It feels reasonable. It feels mature. It is none of those things. It is weakness wearing logic as a disguise. Weakness negotiates. Strength commits. Say it again. Weakness negotiates. Strength commits. Most people don't fail because they choose wrong. They fail because they keep reopening decisions. They decide to wake up early, then negotiate with the alarm. They decide to work, then negotiate with distraction. They decide to change, then negotiate with comfort. And every negotiation drains authority. You have a choice. You can decide once, or you can debate forever. Leaders decide once, not because they're stubborn, because they understand something most people miss. Decision energy is limited. Every debate costs focus. Every reconsideration costs confidence. Every maybe later weakens self-trust. That's the key. Let's be clear. Negotiation does not happen with your strongest self. It happens with your weakest moment. Tired, emotional, uncomfortable. That's when the voice shows up. Just today, you deserve a break. It won't matter. That voice is not reason, it is resistance. And leaders don't argue with resistance. They move. You don't need their permission, not from your fatigue, not from your fear, not from your inner excuses. You already decided. Reopening the decision is where discipline dies. Weakness negotiates. Strength commits. Look at people with strong habits. They don't think about going to the gym, they go. They don't ask how they feel about starting work, they start. They don't emotionally evaluate every task, they execute. That's leadership. It's not about force, it's about finality. Once the decision is made, action follows. No debate. That's the key. Here's the real problem. Most people decide tentatively. They leave the door open. I'll try. I'll see how I feel. I'll start tomorrow if. That's not a decision. That's a suggestion. And suggestions invite negotiation. Leaders close the door. They say, "This is what I do." No explanation, no condition. That language changes behavior. You have a choice. You can leave room for weakness, or you can remove the option entirely. Remove options that sabotage you. If you're trying to stop scrolling at night, put the phone in another room. If you're trying to wake up early, don't keep the alarm within arm's reach. If you're trying to focus, eliminate distractions before they tempt you. Leaders design environments where negotiation is impossible. That's the key. Willpower is unreliable. Structure is not. It's not about willpower. It's about discipline. Discipline removes debate. Debate feeds weakness. Let me say this directly. Every time you negotiate, you teach yourself that your word is flexible. And when your word is flexible, your standards collapse. Self-leadership requires internal authority. Authority comes from consistency. Consistency comes from commitment. Commitment means no negotiation. Weakness negotiates. Strength commits. You don't need their permission. You don't need to feel confident. You don't need to feel ready. You need to act in alignment with your decision. Feeling follows action, not the other way around. That's the key. Here's a practical rule. If the decision was made by your best self, it does not get reconsidered by your tired self. Ever. Your tired self is not qualified to renegotiate your life. Leaders respect the hierarchy. Best self decides, present self executes. That structure creates power. Most people reverse it. Their weakest moments run their strongest intentions, and then they wonder why nothing changes. You have a choice. Honor past decisions or betray yourself daily. And betrayal always costs more than discipline. Another truth. Negotiation delays action. Delay increases resistance. Resistance increases quitting. Leaders act fast once decided. Speed protects discipline. The longer you wait, the louder weakness gets. That's the key. This is why leaders count down. 3, 2, 1. Move. No thought, no story, no negotiation. Action. That simple habit trains authority. Your mind learns who's in charge. And once your mind knows you don't negotiate, it stops trying. That's power. Weakness negotiates. Strength commits. Let's bring this home. You already know what you need to do. You don't need more information. You don't need more clarity. You need to stop reopening second decisions. Decide once, execute daily. That's leadership. You've learned to lead your mornings. Now you've learned to lead your commitments. No debate, no delay. And now there's one final internal foundation you must lock in. The way you treat yourself when no one is watching.
Confidence is not something you declare. It's something you earn, silently, daily, in private. That's the key. Most people try to talk themselves into confidence. They post it, they announce it, they perform it. But real confidence doesn't speak, it shows up. You know who you are when no one is watching. Say it again. You know who you are when no one is watching. That quiet moment when there's no applause, no pressure, no consequence, that's where self-respect is built or broken. You have a choice. You can live for appearance, or you can live with integrity. Integrity is alignment. What you say matches what you do. What you plan matches how you act. And every time those two line up, self-trust grows. That's the key. Self-respect is not gifted, it's earned through consistency. You don't wake up confident, you wake up disciplined. Confidence follows behavior. It's not about hype, it's not about positivity, it's about discipline. It's not about what you say, it's about what you do. Most people feel insecure because they don't trust themselves, and they don't trust themselves because they keep breaking promises. Small promises, private promises. I'll start tomorrow, I'll do it later, I'll stop this habit. And then they don't. No one else notices, but you do. And every broken promise leaves a mark. That's the key. Self-respect erodes quietly. Not through big failures, but through small betrayals. Leaders understand this. They don't let small things slide, because small things train identity. You don't need their permission. You don't need an audience to do the right thing. You don't need recognition to keep your word. Your standard is internal, and internal standards create external authority. You know who you are when no one is watching. Let's make this practical. Every night, ask one question. Did I do what I said I would do today? Not everything, not perfectly, but the things that mattered. If the answer is yes, even once, self-respect grows. If the answer is no, you don't explain, you correct. That's leadership. It's not about guilt, it's about ownership. You have a choice. Make excuses or make corrections. Leaders correct. They don't dramatize, they don't spiral, they adjust and move forward. That's the key. Another truth. People who constantly seek validation usually lack self-respect, because when you trust yourself, you don't need applause. You move quietly. You let results speak. You don't need their permission. You don't need approval to stay disciplined. Approval is external. Self-respect is internal. And internal stability beats external praise every time. It's not about confidence, it's about discipline. Discipline creates integrity. Integrity creates self-trust. Self-trust creates confidence. That's the sequence. Reverse it and it collapses. Here's a rule. Never do something in private that would embarrass you in public. Not because of image, but because of identity. You are always training yourself, either towards strength or towards weakness. That's the key. Look at your private habits. Late nights you justify, work you avoid, commitments you delay. Those moments matter, not to the world, to you, because you are always watching yourself, and your brain keeps score. You have a choice. Become someone you respect, or continue pretending. Leaders don't pretend, they build. Quietly. Another instruction. Stop overpromising to yourself. Set fewer commitments and keep them all. One kept promise is worth more than 10 broken ones. That's discipline, and discipline is the foundation of self-respect. You don't need their permission. You don't need to impress anyone. You need to be consistent with yourself. When integrity becomes your habit, confidence becomes your baseline. You walk differently. You speak calmly. You don't rush to explain, because you know who you are. You know what you do when no one is watching. That's the key. Let me say this clearly. If you want to feel strong, act strong in private. If you want confidence, practice discipline when it doesn't matter to anyone else, because eventually it will matter. Public success is built on private standards, always. You've learned to stop negotiating. You've learned to act without debate. Now you must understand what truly separates people who start from people who finish.
Intensity looks impressive. Consistency builds power. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. They want breakthroughs. They want bursts. They want motivation that hits like a lightning strike. But leadership isn't built in explosions. It's built in patterns. That's the key. Bursts of effort don't build authority. Patterns do. Say it again. Patterns do. You have a choice. You can be intense for a week or disciplined for a year. Only one creates credibility. Consistency creates credibility. Intensity gets attention. Consistency earns respect. And respect is what gives your words weight. Most people fail here. They work hard, but only when they feel like it. They train when motivated. They focus when inspired. They show up when conditions are perfect. That's not leadership. That's dependency. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline.
It's not about how hard you go once, it's about how often you return. That's the key. Leaders are predictable in the right ways. They don't disappear. They don't reset every Monday. They don't need emotional permission to act. You don't need their permission. You don't need a mood to do what needs to be done. You do it because it's who you are. Consistency creates credibility. Let's break this down. Every promise you keep repeatedly becomes part of your identity. Not once, not twice, repeatedly. Your brain doesn't trust intensity, it trusts evidence. And evidence comes from repetition. Small daily wins compound into dominance. Read that again. Small daily wins. That's how authority is built. Not overnight, over time. That's the key. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. So they burn out, they quit, they restart, over and over. Leaders don't restart, they continue, even when it's boring, especially when it's boring. You have a choice: chase excitement or build momentum. Momentum only comes from consistency. Intensity without consistency is noise. Consistency without intensity is power. It's not about talent, it's about discipline. Let's get practical. Stop designing perfect routines you can't maintain. Design boring routines you can execute daily. Same time, same place, same standards. That's leadership training. You don't need their permission to be boring. Boring builds dominance. Every day you show up when it's inconvenient, your self-respect grows. Every day you don't, credibility leaks. Not to others, to yourself. That's the key. Here's another truth. People trust those who are consistent, not the loudest, not the smartest, the consistent ones. Because consistency signals reliability, and reliability is leadership currency. Consistency creates credibility. If your energy is unpredictable, your authority is weak. If your standards change with your mood, people don't follow, they wait. Leaders don't wait on feelings, they act on principles. You have a choice: live reactively or live rhythmically. Rhythm beats reaction every time. Set minimum standards, not maximum effort. Minimums you hit no matter what, even on bad days, especially on bad days. That's discipline. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. Miss a day, return the next. No drama, no guilt. That's the key. Consistency is not intensity stretched out. It's commitment simplified. Simple actions repeated daily. That's how confidence is built. That's how trust is built. That's how leadership is built. You don't need their permission. You don't need approval to be consistent. Most people won't notice your discipline at first. That's normal. Consistency is quiet. But eventually, silence turns into presence, and presence turns into authority. Consistency creates credibility. Let me be clear. If people can't predict your effort, they won't trust your direction. If you can't predict your own behavior, you won't trust yourself. And without self-trust, confidence collapses. It's not about intensity, it's about discipline. Here's a rule. Never let how you feel determine whether you act. Feelings are unreliable. Standards are not. Leaders operate on standards. That's the key. Do the thing, even at 50%. 50% done consistently beats 100% done occasionally, always. Small daily wins compound into dominance. Read it again. Dominance is built quietly, day after day, rep after rep. No speeches, no hype, just execution. You have a choice. Be remembered for moments or respected for consistency. Moments fade, consistency compounds, and compound interest is undefeated. You've learned to build self-respect in private. Now you understand how to turn that respect into authority. But there is one final skill that protects everything you've built, because consistency without control still leaks power. You've trained your actions, now it's time to master your reactions.
Your body is the first battlefield of leadership. Neglect it, and your mind will follow. Weak body, weak energy, weak decisions. That's the key. A tired body creates a weak leader. Say it again. A tired body creates a weak leader. Most people separate mind and body. They believe ideas alone drive success. They study strategy, read books, plan endlessly. Meanwhile, the body decays. Energy drops. Willpower crumbles. Focus vanishes. You have a choice. Lead your body or watch your mind surrender. Leaders understand physical mastery is mental leverage. Exercise, nutrition, sleep, discipline. Not for vanity, for power, for clarity, for control. That's the key. Let's get clear. A tired body can't sustain tough decisions. It can't maintain emotional control. It can't act when resistance rises. Your strength, endurance, and energy are the foundation of self-leadership. Without it, all your standards, consistency, and plans collapse. You don't need their permission. You don't need motivation to move. You don't need approval to train. You don't need inspiration to prioritize health. Discipline decides results. It's not about desire, it's about action. A tired body creates a weak leader. Think of your energy as currency. Every task, every interaction, every decision costs energy. The more you have, the more leverage you hold. The less you have, the more reactive you become. Leaders maximize energy, not just through exercise, but through management of sleep, recovery, and nutrition. This is non-negotiable. Here's a practical truth. If you work late, skip workouts, eat poorly, and neglect sleep, you are teaching your mind to compromise. You are training weakness. You are surrendering control. You have a choice. You can neglect or you can lead. Leadership is built by those who honor their body as the first tool of authority. Here's how. Step 1. Move daily. Not optionally, not when you feel like it. Move because your body demands leadership. Strength and endurance increase confidence. Energy rises. Discipline solidifies. Step 2. Fuel yourself. Not indulgently, not for pleasure, strategically. Nutrition feeds energy. Energy feeds performance. Step 3. Sleep like a leader. Sleep is not laziness. Sleep is preparation. It is the most underrated weapon of mental dominance. A tired body creates a weak leader. Let's talk about control. When the body is under strain, the mind loses. Impulse rises, patience falls, focus vanishes. Leaders mitigate this by training their bodies first. Mental toughness cannot exist without physical readiness. You have a choice. You can treat your body like a convenience or like an asset. Treat it like a convenience and your leadership will crumble. Treat it like an asset and every decision is easier. Every reaction is calmer. Every challenge is surmountable. That's the key. Look at high performers. They don't rely solely on ideas. They prioritize recovery. They train discipline physically. They move with purpose. Their mental clarity is a reflection of their physical foundation. You don't need their permission. No one can do this for you. No one can force you to respect your body. No one can give you energy. You have to earn it daily. A tired body creates a weak leader. Here's another truth. Small habits compound. Skipping sleep once teaches compromise. Eating poorly once teaches tolerance. Skipping movement once teaches neglect. Patterns determine authority, and consistency in physical discipline creates resilience. Leaders don't negotiate, they execute. The same principle you applied to standards, mornings, and commitments now applies to your body. Train daily, fuel consistently, recover fully. No excuses. That's the key.
Let me be clear. Physical mastery is not about aesthetics. It's about operational capacity. It's about sustaining your mind under pressure. It's about creating a platform from which decisions, emotional control, and self-leadership are possible. Weak bodies excuse weakness in all areas. Strong bodies enforce strength in all areas. You have a choice: neglect or lead, excuse or enforce, react or dominate. Your body is not separate from your leadership. It is the first domain of it. A tired body creates a weak leader. A trained body creates a strong mind. A strong mind creates unstoppable leadership. You've learned to lead your actions. You've learned to lead your thoughts. You've learned to lead your mornings, your standards, and your consistency. Now you must lead your body to fully command your mind. And when your body, mind, and habits are aligned, you unlock the final lever of self-leadership.
Noise leaks power. Say it again. Noise leaks power. Most people mistake talking for leading. They think influence comes from words, explanations, or justifying themselves. It doesn't. Speaking less sharpens decision-making. Leaders understand this. They speak strategically. They observe relentlessly. They act precisely. That's the key. Silence is not absence. Silence is presence. It is the space where clarity grows, awareness rises, and authority strengthens. You have a choice. You can fill the room with words or fill the space with presence. Every word you speak in haste costs credibility. Every time you explain unnecessarily, you reduce impact. Every reaction you voice immediately gives away leverage. Noise leaks power. Let that sink in. Leaders listen more than they speak. They don't respond to every challenge immediately. They let information settle. They wait until action, not emotion, dictates the response. You don't need their permission to be silent. You don't need their approval to pause before speaking. You don't need validation for restraint. Silence is an earned skill. It's not about being timid. It's not about avoidance. It's about controlling your influence. Here's the truth. Most people are reactive. They respond to comments, criticism, and chaos immediately. Their energy dissipates in explanations and defense. Their authority erodes before action begins. You have a choice. React or observe. Explain or plan. Noise or strategy. Every leader you admire understands this principle. The quieter they are, the more deliberate their moves. The less they reveal, the stronger they appear. That's the key. Silence gives you time. Time to assess. Time to understand. Time to act with precision. It protects your authority. It prevents impulsive mistakes. It builds anticipation and respect. Real-world example. 2 managers receive a complaint from their team. The first immediately reacts. He explains. He justifies. He loses credibility. The second listens. He asks questions quietly. He waits. He decides deliberately. He commands respect without saying much. Noise leaks power. The lesson is simple. Your words should serve a purpose. Every sentence should carry weight. Every explanation should be necessary. Otherwise, you're giving energy away. Let's make this practical. Step 1. Practice pauses. Before responding, take a breath. Before explaining, evaluate the need. Before commenting, consider value. Step 2. Observe more. Watch reactions. Read the room. Understand motives. Learn more before you act. Step 3. Speak with intention. Make your words rare. Make your words meaningful. Make your words irreversible. That's discipline. It's not about silence as a virtue. It's about silence as leverage. You have a choice. Fill the room with noise or own the room with presence. Step 4. Stop over-explaining yourself. Confidence doesn't need proof. Action doesn't need justification. Presence doesn't need words. Noise
leaks power. Now consider your internal dialogue. Even in your mind, excessive noise distracts focus. Rumination, overthinking, and mental chatter weaken clarity. Leaders quiet the mind the same way they quiet the mouth. Internal silence is authority. External silence is influence. You don't need their permission to enforce either. Here's a rule. If it doesn't move the outcome forward, don't say it. If it doesn't clarify the direction, don't explain it. If it doesn't serve your purpose, stay silent. Silence trains patience. Silence trains discernment. Silence trains precision. That's the key. Every leader you respect has mastered this. They don't overcommit words. They don't chase approval. They don't react in haste. They observe, decide, and strike with authority. You have choice. Noise leaks power, or silence preserves it. Here's a final thought. When you practice silence, you gain clarity in decisions, respect from others, and self-control that cannot be undermined. It's not about being cold. It's not about being distant. It's about being effective. Noise leaks power. You've learned to lead your body. You've learned to lead your habits. You've learned to lead your mind. Now you must learn to lead your presence. Silence is the ultimate amplifier. When you combine action, discipline, and quiet authority, you command influence effortlessly. You've built consistency, you've built energy, you've built integrity. Now you build authority in every word or in the lack of them. That's the key. Your next step is mastery over your focus, because even silence is wasted if attention is scattered.
Distraction is not external. It is internal. Every ping, every notification, every wandering thought is a symptom of self-neglect. It is self-disrespect. It is surrender. That's the key. What you focus on, you follow. Say it again. What you focus on, you follow. Most people think focus is about willpower. It's not. Focus is about command, self-command. You have a choice. You can scatter your attention or concentrate it. You can be pulled by every whim or pull yourself toward what matters. You can be a passenger or the driver. Leaders eliminate, not juggle. They don't multitask. They don't fragment energy. They don't chase every shiny object. They commit. They prioritize. They decide where attention goes and keep it there. That's discipline. It's not about being busy. It's about being intentional. Let's break this down. Distraction is seductive. It promises reward. It promises ease. It promises excitement. But it steals time. It steals clarity. It steals authority. What you focus on, you follow. Every day, people fail not because they lack skill. They fail because they lack focus. They scatter their efforts. They dilute their influence. You have a choice. Scatter or concentrate. Excuse or execute. React or lead. Leaders don't apologize for focus. They enforce it. They guard it. They protect it as the most precious resource they have. Here's how they do it. Step 1. Decide what matters. Be ruthless. If it doesn't move the needle, it doesn't earn your attention. Step 2. Remove distractions. Phone in another room. Apps silenced. Social media limited. Notifications turned off. Step 3. Train mental muscles. Start with short blocks of concentrated effort. Increase them daily. Focus is a skill, not a trait. What you focus on, you follow. The mind obeys the command of attention. It does not obey intention alone. It does not obey wishes. It obeys what is reinforced repeatedly. Leaders reinforce focus constantly. They repeat. They return. They avoid the temptation to wander. That's the key. Here's another truth. Multitasking is the enemy of excellence. Juggling tasks feels productive. It feels clever.
It is sabotage. You have a choice: scatter or concentrate, weakness or discipline, noise or mastery. Focus is self-command. Every time you allow attention to fragment, you train weakness. Every time you reclaim it, you train strength. You don't need their permission. You don't need approval to ignore distractions. You don't need validation to prioritize. You don't need encouragement to enforce boundaries. Discipline decides results. It's not about time, it's about energy. It's about direction. Leaders eliminate, not juggle. Let's get practical. Step 4. Single task like a champion. Work on one critical thing at a time. No email, no phone, no interruptions. Step 5. Protect the sacred hours. Early morning, late night, or chosen blocks when energy peaks. Defend them relentlessly. These hours are your leverage. Step 6. Practice recovery from distraction. Distraction will happen. When it does, pause, breathe, return to focus immediately. What you focus on, you follow. Every day, people fail not because they lack skill, they fail because they lack focus. They scatter their efforts, they dilute their influence. You have a choice: scatter or concentrate, excuse or execute, react or lead. Self-command is sovereignty. The moment you decide what deserves your attention, you reclaim power, you reclaim authority, you reclaim life. Here's a final instruction. Every morning, ask, what is the most important thing I must focus on today? Protect it fiercely. Return to it relentlessly. Refuse to be derailed. What you focus on, you follow. That's the key. You've learned to master your body, mind, habits, and presence. Now, mastery of attention completes the cycle of self-leadership. Focus is the ultimate tool of autonomy. It is the lever that turns effort into impact. It is the skill that separates leaders from followers. You have a choice: scatter or concentrate, weakness or discipline, noise or mastery. This is your command. Own it.
Comfort is seductive. It whispers, it lulls, it erodes authority. That's the key. Most people chase comfort. They avoid challenge. They wait for circumstances to be easy. They postpone growth. But leaders don't wait. Leaders don't negotiate. Leaders choose difficulty. Hard days build strong leaders. Say it again. Hard days build strong leaders. Every time you face resistance, discomfort, or a challenge you want to avoid, you are presented with a decision. You have a choice. Step back or step in. Take the easy path or the right path. Stay safe or expand capacity. Every hard decision compounds. Every avoided challenge compounds. Every daily choice trains your identity. That's the key. Comfort erodes authority. It teaches the mind that it can settle. It teaches the body that it can rest. It teaches the habits that delay greatness. You don't need their permission. You don't need motivation. You don't need approval. You don't need a perfect moment to start. Discipline decides results. It's not about excitement. It's about execution. It's not about inspiration. It's about action. Hard days build strong leaders. Let's make it concrete. Step 1. Identify your discomfort. Where are you resisting action? Where are you making excuses? Where are you avoiding responsibility? Step 2. Engage deliberately. Face it daily. Break it down into manageable action. Complete the hard step before it grows. Step 3. Repeat consistently. Small daily actions against resistance compound into resilience. Small wins against discomfort compound into courage. Small exercises in difficulty compound into authority.
Hard days build strong leaders. Here's another truth. The human brain naturally avoids effort. It seeks shortcuts. It craves ease. If you let it, you'll coast, you'll plateau, you'll shrink in influence and capability. Leaders fight this tendency. They choose the challenge others ignore. They do the tasks nobody else wants to do. They master what is difficult. You have a choice: shrink or expand, excuse or execute, comfort or growth. The pattern is simple. Do hard things daily, not occasionally, not when convenient, daily. Consistency compounds courage. Discipline compounds skill. Action compounds authority. That's the key. Hard work is never glamorous. It's not motivational. It's repetitive. It's boring at times. It's exhausting. But that is where transformation occurs. Every step into discomfort teaches self-leadership. Every repeated challenge builds mental toughness. Every commitment to difficulty strengthens identity. You don't need their permission. You don't need recognition. You don't need applause. You only need to do what's necessary. Hard days build strong leaders. Let's apply this practically. Start with your morning. Wake earlier. Do the work that matters before excuses arise. Engage in physical challenge. Move your body when it's tempting to stay in bed. Confront the conversations you avoid. Deliver the feedback nobody else will. Tackle the problem others postpone. Step into the areas where fear whispers. Hard days build strong leaders. Another point. Doing hard things daily teaches resilience in chaos. Life will get difficult. Life will demand more than you expect. If you've practiced ease, you'll crumble. If you've practiced resistance, you'll dominate. That's the key. Don't mistake busyness for difficulty. Not all work builds toughness. Choose challenge, not activity. Choose growth, not comfort. You have a choice. Excuse or execute. Fear or courage. Weakness or strength. Step in. Face it. Do the hard thing. Hard days build strong leaders. Another truth. The world rewards the prepared, and preparation comes from deliberate daily effort in the uncomfortable, inconvenient, and difficult areas. Do the things that stretch you. Do the things that test you. Do the things that refine you. You don't need their permission. You don't need encouragement. You only need the discipline to act. Every time you choose comfort, you shrink. Every time you choose difficulty, you grow. Hard days build strong leaders. Repeat it in your mind. Repeat it in your actions. Let it shape your identity. You've trained your habits. You've trained your body. You've trained your mind. Now, train your courage. Step into difficulty daily, even in small ways, even when no one notices, even when it's inconvenient. That's how authority is forged. That's how resilience is built. That's how self-leadership becomes unshakable. You have a choice. Avoid or engage. Shrink or expand. Excuse or execute. Hard days build strong leaders. And when you embrace this principle, everything else aligns. Focus sharpens. Discipline deepens. Influence multiplies. You've mastered your body, your mind, your habits, and your attention. Now, master your courage. Lead yourself into difficulty daily, and the world will follow.
Approval seeking is a trap. It hands your power to others. It outsources your leadership. It conditions your actions to the opinions of others. That's the key. Validation weakens vision. Say it again. Validation weakens vision. Most people wait to act until they're praised. They hesitate until someone else nods. They hold back until permission arrives. You have a choice. Move or wait. Decide or defer. Lead or follow. Leaders move without applause. They don't wait for affirmation. They don't seek recognition. They don't explain themselves unnecessarily. They act. They execute. They own the outcome. That's discipline. It's not about arrogance. It's about authority. Here's the truth. Seeking approval conditions you to fear rejection. It forces compromise. It erodes standards. It undermines decisions. Every time you act to please someone, you shrink. Every time you act to fulfill your mission, you grow. You don't need their permission. You don't need applause. You don't need recognition. You only need clarity. You only need resolve. Validation weakens vision. Think about it. Every leader you admire acted before approval arrived. They acted when the world doubted them. They acted when no one would understand. They acted because the work mattered more than recognition. You have a choice. Lead or follow. Create or imitate. Decide or defer. Here's how to implement this daily. Step 1. Identify your approval habits. Notice where you alter your actions to gain praise. Notice where you hesitate for validation. Notice where your choices are influenced by others. Step 2. Reclaim authority. Decide first. Act first. Align actions with your standards, not opinions. Step 3. Practice self-reliance. Complete tasks without recognition. Take ownership of outcomes regardless of praise. Measure success by results, not applause. Validation weakens vision. Another truth. Social approval is fleeting. It is never guaranteed. It is irrelevant to true leadership. Leaders operate independently of external judgment. They move with internal authority. They measure impact, not opinion. You have a choice. Seek applause or maintain control. Follow approval or lead decisively. React to critics or act with clarity. Every time you chase validation, you compromise identity. Every time you act independently, you strengthen self-trust. Every time you refuse to explain unnecessarily, you gain authority. That's the key. Stop explaining yourself. Stop justifying decisions. Stop waiting for nods. Leaders do what's necessary. They act with precision. They lead without apology. Validation weakens vision. Here's a practical example. Two managers face a critical decision. The first seeks consensus. He asks everyone's opinion. He waits for approval. Progress stalls. Influence diminishes. The second decides swiftly. He executes with confidence. He informs, not requests permission. Authority is maintained, results occur. Noise and opinion have no hold on him. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need their understanding. All you need is alignment with your mission. All you need is clarity in standards. All you need is self-command. Validation weakens vision. Here's another rule. If your motivation depends on praise, it is unstable. If your drive depends on approval, it is fragile. If your courage depends on applause, it is temporary. Leaders internalize motivation. They act because it is necessary. They act because they must. They act because responsibility demands it. You have a choice: motivation or discipline, praise or results, excuse or execution. Stop seeking approval. Start leading without conditions. Stop waiting for validation. Start acting with authority. Every time you resist the need for applause, you strengthen identity. Every time you act independently, you reinforce self-leadership. Every time you maintain focus on mission, you amplify impact. That's the key. Think of your life as a mission, not a popularity contest. Act according to principle, not perception. Lead according to vision, not validation. Validation weakens vision. Repeat it in your mind. Repeat it in your actions. Make it your default mode. You've mastered body, habits,
focus, and courage. Now master independence from opinion. Lead without applause, decide without consensus, act without permission. This is the hallmark of authority. This is the essence of self-leadership. This is the difference between followers and leaders. You have a choice. Surrender to opinion or act with authority. Wait for validation or execute decisively. Compromise for approval or enforce standards relentlessly. Stop seeking approval. Lead yourself first, and the world will follow.
Who you believe you are dictates everything you do. Your identity is the silent force behind every choice. It is the unseen driver of every habit, every action, every reaction. You don't act randomly. You act in alignment with your sense of self. That's the key. Change the identity, change the outcome. Say it again. Change the identity, change the outcome. Most people try to change behavior first. They set goals, they make plans, they hope effort alone will produce results. It doesn't. Behavior follows identity. Your habits, your actions, your consistency, they are reflections of who you believe you are. You have a choice. Act as a follower or act as a leader. Act as mediocre or act as exceptional. Act as uncertain or act as disciplined. Leaders understand this. They don't wait for external validation to shift behavior. They redefine identity first. They say, I am disciplined. I am capable. I am responsible. Then action aligns automatically. That's discipline. It's not about forcing change. It's about embodying it. Here's the truth. Most failures aren't due to lack of knowledge. They aren't due to lack of skill. They are due to lack of alignment between identity and desired outcome. If you see yourself as someone who procrastinates, you will procrastinate. If you see yourself as someone who excuses, you will excuse. If you see yourself as a leader, you will lead. You don't need their permission. You don't need recognition. You don't need approval. You only need to define who you are and act consistently in that identity. Change the identity, change the outcome. Let's break this down practically. Step 1. Identify current identity scripts. Notice how you define yourself in different areas. I'm not a morning person. I'm not confident in meetings. I'm bad with discipline. These statements dictate behavior. They are invisible chains. They shape results without conscious awareness. Step 2. Rewrite the identity. I am a disciplined morning person. I am confident and composed under pressure. I am consistent and focused. Say it, believe it, repeat it. Your mind accepts repeated statements as truth. Behavior follows. Step 3. Reinforce daily. Act in alignment with the new identity in small, consistent ways. Each choice builds credibility with yourself. Each success reinforces belief. Change the identity, change the outcome. Here's another truth. External strategies, schedules, apps, routines are temporary scaffolds. They are tools, not identity. They fail if self-belief is weak. They fail if the underlying identity is contradictory. Leaders focus on the root, identity. They cultivate the internal sense of who they are first. Then systems, routines, and habits fall into place naturally. You have a choice. Keep acting as who you were or step into who you must become. Follow old scripts or rewrite them. Excuse or execute. Every time you act against your old identity, you strengthen the new one. Every time you act in alignment with your old identity, you reinforce stagnation. That's the key. Behavioral change without identity change is temporary. You might force action for a while. You might achieve short-term wins, but you will revert to old habits under pressure. Identity is gravity. It pulls actions toward itself automatically. Change the pull, and behavior changes effortlessly. You don't need their permission. You don't need recognition. You only need the courage to redefine who you are and live it relentlessly. Change the identity, change the outcome.
Practical example. A person wants to be a disciplined writer. They set a schedule. They fail repeatedly. Why? Because in their mind, I'm not a disciplined person. Then they redefine identity. I am a disciplined writer. Actions shift. The schedule is followed. Momentum builds. Results compound. Change the identity. Change the outcome. Step 4. Guard the new identity. Notice old triggers. Notice excuses that attempt to revert you. Interrupt them immediately. Reaffirm, this is who I am now. Step 5. Expand the identity gradually. Identity is not static. As you succeed in one area, extend it to others. I am disciplined in writing becomes I am disciplined in health, work, and relationships. That's leadership. That's self-command. That's transformation. You have a choice. Maintain old identity or create a new one. Excuse or execute. Weakness or discipline. Every action you take reinforces identity. Every thought you dwell on reinforces identity. Every habit you repeat reinforces identity. Change the identity, change the outcome. Here's the final insight. The world does not recognize your potential. It does not wait for you to approve yourself. It only reacts to the version of you that shows up consistently. You have a choice. Step into the identity that commands respect. Step into the identity that produces results. Step into the identity that leads self first. Then action, discipline, courage, and authority follow naturally. You don't need their permission. You don't need recognition. You only need to decide who you are and live it relentlessly. Change the identity, change the outcome. That's the final lesson.
Indecision is silent failure. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't seem harmful at first. Yet every day you hesitate, momentum slips away. That's the key. Clarity follows commitment. Say it again. Clarity follows commitment. Most people overthink. They wait for perfect conditions. They look for signals from others. They delay action, hoping for certainty. You have a choice. Decide or drift. Commit or stall. Lead or follow circumstances. Leaders decide faster. They embrace uncertainty with calculated courage. They accept that not every answer will be clear, but inaction is always costly. Indecision is failure disguised as patience. Here's the truth. Every missed opportunity starts with hesitation. Every delayed action allows others to overtake you. Every second spent weighing instead of acting compounds into lost authority. Leaders make decisions with courage. Then they adjust forward. Correction happens in motion, not in waiting. You don't need their permission. You don't need approval. You don't need consensus. You only need conviction. Clarity follows commitment. Let's make this practical. Step 1. Recognize hesitation triggers. Notice when fear, doubt, or the need for approval stalls action. Name it. Own it. Step 2. Commit decisively. Take one clear action now, even if imperfect. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Move immediately. Step 3. Adjust forward. Monitor results. Course correct as needed. Learn faster because you are in motion. Clarity follows commitment. Think about the most effective leaders you know. They rarely wait for perfect clarity. They decide, act, and iterate. They know that forward motion produces insight that waiting never will. You have a choice. Freeze or move. Second guess or execute. Fear or courage. Indecision robs authority. It confuses teams. It erodes self-trust. Decision builds momentum. Decision reinforces identity. Decision sets the pace. That's what the key is. It's not about waiting for certainty. It's about embracing discipline. It's not about perfection. It's about execution. It's not about risk avoidance. It's about responsible forward motion. Clarity follows commitment. Here's how to train this daily.
Morning decisions first. Choose your priorities. Act immediately on the most critical task. Midday decisions fast. Delegate when unsure. Move with information, not fear. Evening reflection. Analyze outcomes. Document lessons. Prepare tomorrow's decisions in advance. This is self-leadership in action. Indecision is costly. It diminishes energy. It diffuses influence. It slows progress. Decision leadership is the antidote. Decide quickly, commit fully, adjust forward. You have a choice. Act or stall. Lead or drift. Execute or defer. Another point. Decision leadership compounds authority. People follow those who decide. They respect those who commit. They trust those who act. Indecision creates confusion. Decision creates clarity. Clarity multiplies influence. You don't need their permission. You don't need applause. You only need to act with conviction. Clarity follows commitment. Here's an example. Two leaders face the same problem. The first hesitates, requests multiple opinions, delays action. The opportunity slips, confidence erodes, authority wanes. The second decides swiftly. He acts with the best available information. He monitors outcomes and adjusts in real time. Momentum builds, trust grows, influence expands. That's self-leadership. That's the hallmark of those who lead themselves first. Step 4. Build decision muscles. Start small. Decide daily on minor matters quickly. Gradually scale to larger, higher-impact decisions. Momentum grows. Confidence grows. Authority grows. Step 5. Remove decision fatigue. Set principles in advance. Create rules for common choices. Delegate where clarity is less critical. Self-leadership is decision leadership. Every moment of hesitation is a choice. Every delayed action is a lost opportunity. Every fear-driven pause weakens authority. You have a choice. Commit or drift. Act or wait. Lead or be led by circumstances. Clarity follows commitment. Internalize it. Repeat it. Live it relentlessly. You've built discipline, courage, and focus. Now reinforce it with decisive action. Lead yourself through decisions first, then influence follows, then results follow. You don't need their permission. You don't need applause. You only need to act. Act decisively, commit fully, adjust forward. Clarity follows commitment. You mastered self-leadership when you mastered decision leadership.
Pain is inevitable. Failure is inevitable. Discomfort is inevitable. That's the key. Pain instructs the prepared. Say it again. Pain instructs the prepared. Most people treat pain as a stop sign. They recoil, they complain, they quit. They confuse discomfort with defeat. They see struggle as a signal that they're unfit. They interpret resistance as rejection. You have a choice. Suffer or learn. Quit or grow. Complain or execute. Leaders act differently. They don't avoid pain. They interrogate it. They ask, what is this teaching me? What skill must I develop? What boundary must I enforce? Every painful moment is information. Every failure is feedback. Every challenge is a lesson in disguise. Pain instructs the prepared. Here's the truth. Avoided pain repeats itself. Ignored discomfort resurfaces with intensity. Dodged challenges return later, multiplied. Leaders don't evade, they engage. They face the challenge, extract the lesson, and move forward stronger. You don't need their permission. You don't need reassurance. You only need the courage to endure and observe. Pain instructs the prepared. Practical steps to leverage pain. Step 1. Observe without emotion. Don't react immediately. Notice the discomfort.
Ask, what is this teaching me? Step 2. Extract actionable insight. Identify one lesson. Identify one change. Identify one discipline you must apply. Step 3. Apply forward. Use the lesson in your next decision. Adjust strategy. Strengthen resolve. Pain is not punishment. It is data. It is feedback. It is a teacher disguised as adversity. You have a choice. Suffer passively or learn actively. React emotionally or respond strategically. Resist or integrate. Here's another truth. Pain builds resilience when interpreted correctly. Pain expands capacity when approached consciously. Pain refines character when it's not avoided. Leaders treat challenges as instruments of growth. They don't ask, why me? They ask, what can I take from this? Pain instructs the prepared. Consider real-world examples. Thomas Edison faced thousands of failed experiments. He didn't see failure as fatal. He saw data. He learned. He iterated. The invention of the light bulb wasn't a stroke of luck. It was the disciplined study of pain and failure. Athletes experience the same principle. Every sore muscle, every loss, every setback teaches technique, endurance, and mental toughness. They extract lessons, not excuses. You have a choice. React to pain or extract insight. Hide from struggle or engage with it. Quit or rise stronger. Pain instructs the prepared. Another reality. Excuses are the easy path. Learning is the difficult path. Discipline chooses the difficult path. Leaders embrace discomfort. They sit with pain. They analyze it. They convert it into skill, strategy, and momentum. You don't need approval. You don't need validation. You only need the courage to observe, learn, and act. Pain instructs the prepared. Step 4. Track lessons. Journal the struggle. Write down insights. Document adjustments. Step 5. Normalize adversity. Don't fear discomfort. Don't expect ease. Anticipate challenge as an ally in growth. Avoided pain repeats itself. Ignored lessons return multiplied. Dismissed challenges fester into failure. Leaders avoid this trap. They embrace every test. They analyze every setback. They integrate every lesson. That's the key. It's not about avoiding suffering. It's about cultivating preparation. It's not about escaping discomfort. It's about harnessing insight. It's not about pain control. It's about response mastery. Pain instructs the prepared. You have a choice. Quit or learn. Excuse or execute. Fear or act with courage. Every setback is an opportunity. Every wound is data. Every challenge is a doorway to growth. Pain instructs the prepared. Internalize it. Repeat it. Apply it relentlessly. You've mastered discipline, identity, and decision-making. Now master the art of learning from discomfort. Face pain directly. Observe it fully. Extract the lesson and act. Pain instructs the prepared. This is the discipline of resilience. This is the essence of self-leadership. This is how leaders transform adversity into advantage. You have a choice. Submit or grow. Quit or rise stronger. Complain or convert pain into power. Pain instructs the prepared.
Leadership is not born from grand gestures alone. It is forged in the details. It is proven in the small, consistent actions that others overlook. That's the key. Small things reveal big leadership. Say it again. Small things reveal big leadership.
Most people ignore the minor tasks. They postpone the basics. They tolerate sloppy habits. They underestimate the power of daily discipline. You have a choice: overlook or master, neglect or enforce, drift or lead. Leaders dominate the small things first. They sweep the floor before expanding territory. They handle the daily grind before pursuing grand vision. They check their words before commanding influence. Every email, every conversation, every habit matters. Every repeated detail compounds over time. Every ignored minor failure magnifies into future chaos. Small things reveal big leadership. Here's the truth. Control is built through micro-discipline. Order is cultivated through repetition. Authority is proven through attention to detail. People respect those who manage the little things. They follow those who do not delegate carelessness. They trust those who enforce standards, however small. You don't need their permission. You don't need their praise. You only need the courage to act meticulously. Small things reveal big leadership. Practical steps to dominate the details. Step 1. Audit your daily routines. Identify where small failures occur. Address them immediately. Step 2. Execute consistently. Finish small tasks completely. Complete commitments without excuses. Follow through where others let go. Step 3. Build habits of precision. Every email sent, every meeting conducted, every assignment delivered must reflect excellence. Repetition reinforces discipline. Discipline produces authority. Here's another truth. Vision without execution is vanity. Ideas without follow-through are illusions. Ambition without attention to the small things collapses under chaos. Leaders master the minor elements before they expand influence. They train their discipline in small arenas. They ensure every action aligns with their standards. Small things reveal big leadership. Consider real-world examples. Athletes practice fundamentals relentlessly. A basketball player drills free throws hundreds of times. A musician repeats scales daily. The victories in games and performances come from mastery of basics. Executives respect details. A manager who tracks deadlines, maintains accountability, and enforces protocols commands trust. A leader who tolerates sloppy reports or late responses undermines authority, even with a bold vision. You have a choice. Ignore or refine. Skip or commit. Neglect or dominate. Small disciplines build big authority. Every disciplined habit is a brick in the foundation of influence. Every ignored detail is a crack in the structure of leadership. That's the key. It's not about grand gestures, it's about small disciplines. It's not about visibility, it's about integrity in action. It's not about luck, it's about relentless adherence to standards. Small things reveal big leadership. Step 4. Train your team through modeling. When you enforce precision in small matters, others follow. Leadership is contagious. Excellence spreads through example. Step 5. Integrate systems for minor victories. Use checklists, routines, and accountability tools. Automate nothing critical, but reinforce repetition where it counts. Neglect in minor matters is tolerance for mediocrity. Mastery in small matters is the engine of greatness. Small things reveal big leadership. You don't need approval to enforce standards. You don't need consensus to demand precision. You only need to act decisively in the small spaces you control. Every minor victory compounds. Every detail mastered strengthens influence. Every habit of precision cements authority. Small things reveal big leadership. Internalize it. Repeat it. Apply it relentlessly. You've mastered decision-making, resilience, and pain. Now, master the small things. Control your environment, dominate the details, set standards where others overlook them. Small things reveal big leadership. This is the discipline of meticulous action. This is the foundation of lasting influence. This is how leaders turn attention to detail into unstoppable authority. You have a choice: ignore or control, neglect or perfect, drift or lead with precision. Small things reveal big leadership.
Leadership is not a title. Leadership is not a position. Leadership is not the volume of your words. That's the key. Live the message first. Say it again. Live the message first. People follow behavior, not words. They watch more than they listen. They observe more than they are told. You have a choice. Talk or act. Preach or demonstrate. Command or model. Your credibility comes from what you do, not what you say. Your influence grows from the alignment of action and principle. Your authority solidifies when others see consistency between intent and execution. Live the message first. Here's the truth. A voice without example is empty. A speech without proof is ignored. A promise without follow-through is irrelevant. You don't need permission to act correctly. You don't need applause to set standards. You only need the discipline to be first in execution. Live the message first. Practical steps to lead by example. Step 1. Audit your actions. Are your daily habits aligned with your values? Do your routines reflect the standards you preach? Are your choices consistent with the vision you claim? Step 2. Elevate your behavior. Do the difficult things you ask of others. Show up early. Deliver results before recognition. Handle the unseen work without complaint. Step 3. Reflect continuously. Self-awareness is the mirror of leadership. Adjust when your actions diverge from your principles. The disciplined self-corrects without external enforcement. Live the message first. Consider real-world examples. A manager demands punctuality from the team, but if the manager is late or disorganized, respect erodes. The team notices behavior, not excuses. The lesson is simple. Credibility is earned through example. Athletes understand this instinctively. A coach who trains harder than the players inspires action. A leader who sacrifices comfort to maintain standards earns trust automatically. You have a choice. Talk about accountability or embody it. Call for excellence or demonstrate it relentlessly. Demand respect or earn it through behavior. Live the message first. Another truth. Influence is contagious. Behavior sets the standard. Example sets the culture. If you live the principles you preach, others will follow. If you act with discipline, they will emulate. If you endure difficulty, they will trust your guidance. You don't need approval. You don't need validation. You only need consistency. You only need integrity. You only need action. Live the message first. Step 4. Speak after action. Let your behavior preface your words. Use voice to reinforce, not compensate. Your authority will be unquestioned because it is proven. Step 5. Teach through demonstration. Show, don't tell. Act, don't lecture. Lead, don't demand. Behavior is the language people understand. Words without deeds are noise. Actions without repetition are temporary. Live the message first. Internalize it. Repeat it. Practice it daily. Your team, peers, and followers will notice. Your credibility will grow. Your influence will expand.
Small inconsistencies undermine authority. Consistent example builds it. Every act aligned with your values compounds trust. You have a choice. Speak before action or act before words. Preach without proof or demonstrate relentlessly. Command without credibility or earn influence through discipline. Live the message first. This is the discipline of integrity. This is the power of modeling before speaking. This is how leaders attract trust naturally and consistently. Live the message first. You have mastered decision-making, discipline, and attention to detail. Now master the art of embodying your principles. Act first. Demonstrate relentlessly. Let your life preach louder than your words. Live the message first. Leadership is not a one-time achievement. It is not earned once and kept forever. Leadership is daily maintenance. Say it again. Leadership is daily maintenance. That's the key. You have a choice: complacency or vigilance, relaxation or discipline, neglect or action. The moment you relax standards, decline begins. Every shortcut, every ignored habit, every compromise chips away at influence. Every day you fail to lead yourself, the world tests you, and you fail first. Leadership is not about grand moments. It is about the accumulation of small, intentional decisions. It is about mastery of self in every hour of every day. Leadership is daily maintenance. Let's break it down. Step 1. Maintain your standards relentlessly. Wake up with purpose. Execute your routines without exception. Complete every commitment, even the invisible ones. Step 2. Monitor your thoughts constantly. You are only as strong as the decisions you allow your mind to make. Fear, doubt, and excuses are silent saboteurs. Recognize them, challenge them, override them with action. Step 3. Control your emotions before they control you. Calmness is power. Patience is influence. Clarity is authority. Step 4. Train your body to reinforce your mind. A fatigued leader makes weak decisions. Energy is leadership. Strength is credibility. Movement is preparation. Step 5. Lead by example without pause. Consistency is louder than words. Discipline is contagious. Others will follow what you repeatedly demonstrate, not what you occasionally preach. Leadership is daily maintenance. Here's the reality most people ignore. The world does not reward intention. It does not care about plans. It only recognizes action. Every day you fail to act with purpose, you surrender influence to chaos. You have a choice: excuses or execution, distraction or focus, mediocrity or relentless improvement. Self-leadership is never finished. It is a commitment renewed every morning. It is a battle waged in small actions and minor victories. Remember this: leadership is not glamorous. It is not always visible. It is quiet. It is solitary. It is consistent. It is intentional. Every decision counts. Every habit compounds. Every lapse erodes authority. Leadership is daily maintenance. Step 6. Reflect and adjust constantly. Even the strongest leaders make mistakes. Even the most disciplined falter. The difference is correction, not indulgence. Step 7. Protect your time with ruthless precision. Time is your most precious asset. Every hour wasted is authority lost. Every minute neglected is opportunity surrendered. Step 8. Commit to incremental improvement. Small progress every day compounds into dominance. Small lapses every day compound into decline. Consistency is the multiplier of influence. Live the principle. Lead yourself first, and everything else aligns. Command your actions before commanding others. Win internally before you win externally. You don't need validation. You don't need permission. You only need discipline. You only need vigilance. You only need the courage to act, even when no one is watching. Leadership is daily maintenance. Internalize it, repeat it, practice it relentlessly. Your habits define your outcomes. Your consistency defines your influence. Your daily choices define your legacy. You've mastered fear, discipline, emotional control, focus, and example. Now integrate them into every moment. Lead your mornings, lead your body, lead your mind, lead your decisions, lead your interactions. Every day, every hour, every action. Leadership is daily maintenance. The moment you stop leading yourself, the world does not wait. It fills the vacuum with mediocrity, distraction, and compromise. You have a choice. Maintain or collapse. Discipline or drift. Lead or be led. This is your ultimate responsibility. This is your greatest power. This is your daily test. Lead yourself every single day. You have the power. You have the responsibility. You have the discipline. Leadership is daily maintenance. Stand, act, repeat. Lead yourself relentlessly. Every day, every action, every choice. This is how you end the story without regrets. This is how you ensure every decision reflects your authority, integrity, and vision. Leadership is not inherited. It is cultivated. It is earned every day. You have a choice. Lead or watch your potential slip away. Lead or let excuses and mediocrity define you. Lead or leave a life unlived. Leadership is daily maintenance, and it starts with you.
Everything you want, discipline, confidence, respect, momentum, starts with how you lead yourself. Not someday, not when conditions improve, not when motivation shows up. Today. If you cannot command your habits, your thoughts will command you. If you cannot lead your emotions, circumstances will lead them for you. So decide right now to move without permission, to act without applause, to lead before you are ready. This is your challenge. For the next 30 days, lead yourself first. Every decision, every habit, every moment. Because the world doesn't follow talkers, it follows the self-led. Now close this audiobook and prove it.